Hey Tom,
Hey Chris, what's going on?
not too much. What do we got here?
Right now we're doing Need for Speed Hot Pursuit.
Wait. Are we talking about like the old PC?
No, this is brand new.
This is brand new, just came out.
That's right.
So is this a reboot for that franchise?
Well,
or
it's
series?
weird because it actually got picked up by Criterion. They got asked to do it, which was sort of the Burnout, Nemesis, Anti. So now they're doing EA tapped them to do the new one.
Kind of like Nintendo hiring Sega to make a Sonic game for Nintendo.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's a little weird, but it definitely kind of has a bit of the Burnout feel to it. Definitely. Car crashes, crash cams.
Which I think Need for Speed needed in the first place, because it seemed like Need for Speed was kind of stale.
A little bit. It's almost like I was a cop, because you can be a cop or a robber in this. Here we go.
Oh God.
Yeah, basically the idea is that, and you can have either career at the same time, so you can be a cop and a robber. It's not like you need to play as one or the other. You can just go back and forth whenever you feel like it. There's 1 through 20 ranks, which he's saying right now, and you basically level up as you play.
That's the cop car?
Well, you get access to all sorts of cop cars. One of the things I really like about this game is that almost every time you race, you're going to get new items, new cars. They're not all awesome, but they're definitely cool. And yeah, by the end of the game, you're basically blowing through the streets in Lamborghini cop cars.
I was gonna say, I don't think cops drive that, but that's
maybe
cool.
in Italy. But yeah, basically you got the crash cam, you got all the great things that you used to in Burnout, but it's basically a cops and robbers. You get, as your cop, you get all sorts of items to take the people down. You sort of level up as time goes on. You'll get EMP bursts, you get spike strips, you get helicopters to chase after people.
Joke.
Yeah, you get some nice stuff. So basically, what we're going to do right here is as soon as it gets into the action, because the game is kind of big on starting you off and explaining everything to you, which is kind of good if you don't know what's going on.
So is this a load screen or what is it?
This is them actually explaining what the role of a cop is. And when I go to the criminal side, they'll do the same thing, explaining how it kind of works. So they're telling me, you know, what you're driving. Later on, though, you get all sorts of access to all these cars. But
okay, one thing that needs to be said right off the bat.
Yeah.
Graphics look phenomenal.
They look pretty good. Yeah,
Dude,
they definitely look good.
This is some good-looking stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's really a really pretty game. I mean, even when you start out, they kind of have really good conditions for you. Like, you can see your weather conditions, but as you go on, you get to see other weather effects, and I think the game really shines when you're driving through the mist in the forest, and, you know, it's raining.
Nice.
And so there's some really cool stuff that comes on later in the game. But let's continue and let's check it out. Let's see what's going on here. The one thing is that you can watch the intro here, you can skip it. I'm just going to skip it, so it just goes straight in. Yeah, it has like a little story. Here we go. Game just started.
This looks awesome.
So my job is to take that guy down. I'm just gonna ram his car.
So you got, obviously you got NOS.
You do. It fills up based on, see, if you're driving the wrong lane, it gives you a little bit more typically. My job is gonna be ram him off the road.
That's pretty cool. So you're taking the role of a cop, and I mean, it's not just racing. It's straight up, you gotta take
No,
this.
you gotta take him down. Trying to hit him in the back of my car.
God.
Yeah, you can take him down.
Definitely Burnout.
Oh yeah, definitely Burnout influence. So the idea is basically, and there's different game modes. It's not all just wrecking cars. Sometimes you need to. There we go.
Oh,
Gotcha. In the cam. It's not just chasing people down. It's not just that. You also have, you got to get to the scene of a crime really fast, but you can't hit anyone because you're a cop. You can't do damage.
Oh, really?
That sort of thing.
Man.
There's the idea of, if you're a criminal, sometimes they'll give you a new car to test out, and you just got to burn down the track and race as fast as possible. They're straight up racing. But I think, personally, the most fun stuff is when you're just going at it like a cop, trying to take the people out. I really enjoy that.
Okay, so this is gonna sound pretty bad, but
Unlock new car, check it out.
Awesome.
It's already starting.
There you go. Now I've never played Burnout.
Mm-hmm.
This is crazy, I know, but I've read a lot about it. I've watched a lot of videos, and it looks awesome. Now, the real thing I think people might want to be might be asking themselves is, well, you know, you had Burnout Paradise, which was like this big open world online kind of racing thing. Now, what would make somebody want to go to this from that?
Well, it's a little bit more controlled, whereas Burnout was sort of an open world where events just sort of, you started by driving around the world. This is, you see the map, I select the event I go into. Now, there is an open world mode where you can just show up and sort of drive around and check stuff out, which is cool, especially if you want to know like the special shortcuts, because it's kind of hard to see them when you're just racing for the first time. but it's a little bit more focused. It's a little bit more, you want to do a race again, you don't have to drive there. You don't have to drive back to that location. You just go to your map and bam, you hit what you want to do.
It's safe to say this is old school point A to point B race.
Typically,
you're just doing your races. I mean, and it's not just races. I mean, you know, you got to get to the bank robbery in time without hitting cars. You got to take down the criminal. But all in all, it's pretty much a point A to point B kind of game. Right?
Typically, the events are, yes, point A to point B. There are multiple paths because there are shortcuts. There are special ways you can go off the road.
You can choose any of the available cars to drive in the race.
Let's see. The only ones available.
But it does implement the Burnout Paradise open worldness.
You can. You have the option to go in and just sort of drive around if you want to. Let's see. I'm gonna go for let's see. Let's do yellow so I stand out a little bit in the crowd.
Damn, man. I'm sorry. The graphics are just so freaking good.
Yeah, they're definitely nice. There's a few things that I'm a little confused about as far as the game choices. I mean, the only real kind of criticism I have right now is when you do a kind of like an attack on someone, when you get the special attacks later in the game, and it switches the camera view, and it sort of shows you your burnout cam, you know, where something's getting hit or destroyed, and then the game auto sort of puts you back on a track, which you think is really awesome because sometimes if you're going around a turn, you might get thrown off by getting a different camera angle for a little bit. But I've had it once or twice actually not put me on the wrong path, but when I've been a cop, like the guy I'm chasing has suddenly switched direction, and it shoots me off, you know, the wrong way on a turn. And that is not cool. Basically, the whole race is over because quite frankly, the camera threw me in a weird direction, and I'm not okay with that. But pretty much, the game seems pretty balanced to me.
So how's the controls? Pretty tight, responsive?
This is not the type of game in which, oh man.
Is it arcade style, or
yeah,
is
it's
it
much
like,
more, you're not getting, you know,
it's
Gran
not
Turismo.
simulated.
No, it's not simulated. It's basically the arcade racer style.
Honestly, I'm more of a fan of the arcade style. Because simulated racing is, it's a little too realistic, you know? Handling on cars is like really different, you know? It's like, oh, I want to play the Corvette, but it handles, like, slides all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely more of an arcade style. I'm not really super great at either style. I mean, there's people who prefer, you know, I have a preference. I'm kind of mediocre at both. Whoa, but yeah, it's definitely more the arcade style. It's definitely more sort of the loose handling. You want to drift around turns. You want to go as fast as possible. You know, all that sort of arcade goodness. If you're looking for, you know, a precision racer where the cars handle exactly the same way they do as the real world, this is not it. This is more of just an arcade, just chasing people down, racing as fast as possible, and if you mess up, you get, you know, your car explodes.
Alright, so,
and there.
that was pretty crazy.
I can't believe I made it.
It was amazing. It's all on video.
It's much harder to talk and do this than I thought ever would be possible. But yeah.
So, how do we build up the nitrous? You just go into another lane, or does it automatically? Or?
Yeah, there's different stuff. It'll build up slowly anyway, just as you're driving. But see how it says oncoming?
Right.
I'm driving oncoming lane. That gives you a little bit boost. Because you're driving, you know, you get oncoming traffic.
Right.
If you are drifting behind someone, it gives you a slipstream. It gives you a little bit of boost. You can see it's kind of under the NOS meter down there. It'll tell you the reasons it's giving you a little bit more. So drifting, man.
Okay, now, if you're in the role of the criminal,
yeah,
and the cops are coming at you,
they do.
Okay, how do you just straight up drive, or can you spill oil, or throw out a banana peel? No turtle shell?
Well, it is weird. It does have a bit of sort of the Mario Kart feel, I was mentioning it, because you do get weapons as the game progresses.
Nah, you get weapons.
Yeah, you get the bad guys get spike strips as well, so you can get in front of a person, drop them out below their tires.
Throw them out the window.
Yeah, you get EMP bursts as well. You get jammers, which mess up the people's tracking systems, and also allows you to see where they're doing roadblocks. Because police get roadblocks. You can call them and they
can you just run into them and like fly over them and stuff?
You can dodge them. There's typically a little. Well, they put vehicles in the middle of the road. It's not as easy as you would think. This game actually is not, to me at least, super easy. Like, there's for each race, there's pass, and then there's merit, and then there's distinction. And some of the early ones, getting a distinction is pretty easy, and so you're like, oh, this game's not that bad. But as it goes on, it gets a little bit more tricky to get perfect scores on things. But the roadblocks, Yeah, there's different levels, so all of your items level up along with you as well. So Roadblock level 1, okay, yeah, there's 2 cars in the road and a couple barricades. But when you get up to level 2, they're using SUVs. They're not cars anymore. And then the window for which you sort of thread the needle gets smaller and smaller, and you got to get better and better at timing. And sometimes you're not in the lead, and the guy in front of you, the computer control guy, crashes into it and blows open a pack for you. So,
Awesome.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know. My favorite part of this game is definitely the whole cops and robbers deal, where like you're either chasing someone down or you're outrunning them, because they will hit you, they will damage you. You can damage the cop cars, so you can actually break them so that they lose. They're out of the race as well, and you get extra points for doing that. Yeah.
All right, so there's a feature in I think a lot of the racing games. I know Forza 3, it was pretty prominent. But I think other games had it before it. And it's a feature where if you screw up on the track, you can rewind time and, redo your mistake.
Sort of like Prince of Persia style?
Kind of like Prince of Persia style, right? Where you could literally just rewind and be like, oh, man, I got to do this turn a little bit better, instead of, totally losing the race. Does this game have that feature?
Subaru. As far as I've seen, no. The way it works is it just sort of, if you crash, it just drops you. There's a little bit of time penalty, so people get a little further ahead, and it drops you right back in, right where you are. And not even at 0 miles an hour. It drops you back in driving, typically. But if you take too much damage, especially later on when you're taking a lot more damage from different events,
game over.
Game over. You lose the race if you break your car too many times. To me, it seems like there's a fair bit of leeway. It's pretty fair. You don't feel like your car is just, done.
All right, so if I'm a dude who's just like, hey, I want to get into a driving game, this looks pretty crazy.
Yeah.
The challenge factor, is it that high? Like, to where I'm not going to enjoy this game? Or
it depends who you are. Okay, if you're the kind of guy who just wants to just play and have fun, this isn't your kind of game. If you're not going to care about getting everything perfectly, then, not a big deal. But some of the later stuff, especially where it's timed races, for me at least, are pretty challenging. So if you're a perfectionist, you might find some challenge in this game. So I think it's got a fair bit of both. If you want to just sort of be a chill player and just run around and do what you want to do, it's good. He's wrecking himself for me. Yeah, I get a pass at one bus, so I'm trying to go for the lead guy first. But yeah, I think there's a wide variety of challenges to get past.
Man, the music sounds intense.
Yeah, during the chases. During the chases, it kind of is this nice movie score sound. When you're just sort of driving around, you get a radio, which you can change the station, or turn off if you want to.
Now, this is gonna sound stupid, but ever since I played Ridge Racer 4 on the PS1, I always liked environments in racing games. Like in Ridge Racer, it'd take you through metropolitan streets, and you see all these skyscrapers and stuff like that. How are the environments in this?
Fantastic. It's a kind of a made-up county in California, I believe, and they fit in everything. You got the desert, you got the forest, you got the beach, which you see right now. You got tons of weather conditions. It is just
driving through the cities with skyscrapers.
I haven't actually done any in city yet. I mean, I've played maybe a third of the game through, and I haven't done much in city, but mostly it's just very scenic, very pretty. And who does that? Why did he just? Aren't they supposed to pull off?
Yeah, I was just about to ask you.
No, they don't pay attention on the cloud. There we go. Just take that guy out, and you get your nice crash cam.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's a lot of glass shatter effects. I would like to see a bit more bumpers flying off, doors flying off. I haven't seen a whole lot of that yet.
Do the windows actually shatter out, or do they just crash?
See, that's
because it seems like
they just sort of break.
They're all right.
I like more carnage.
Yeah.
I would like to see people flying out of their car. I mean, I know that's not what this game's about, but sometimes you're going 180 miles an hour and you hit a car dead on. I would expect a bit more. You know what I mean? That's a lot of power going on. I would expect the car to kind of disintegrate.
So, do you have to buy cars, or do you just unlock them?
You basically unlock them with experience.
Okay.
So the idea is that I'm just going to keep playing. I showed you the criminal. I'll keep playing as the cops for a little bit, so we can level up. But you level up through the race. So different things. Depending on what level you get, what merit level you get extra points. If you set the top speed on a track, you get more points. If you do more damage, you get more points. And now you're going to start to see the equipment part. Here's the roadblock.